Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on branding Rotary. I'm Gina Grattan, and I'm the Public Image Coordinator for Australia, which basically means I'm a resource for clubs and districts who, if you need any advice or any help with any issues to do with public image or with branding or whatever. With me, I've got Andrew Best, who's
Hi everyone.
The head of club and district support for the Rotary International office in Parramatta, and we're actually in the Parramatta office at the moment. Andrew also is a great resource for you to help with any issues that you may have with public image. So please make use of us, and we'll be giving you contact details a bit later where you can get in touch with us. This webinar is being recorded and we will be sending details probably in the next few days on how you can access that and how your other club members can have, who are not able to attend tonight, can access that as well. We'll also be sending details about some of the resources that we're mentioning in this webinar. Before we start, just a couple of housekeeping rules. There are quite a few of us online, so we've put you on mute, and we ask that you stay on mute for the duration of the seminar, because interference will deter the ability of people to understand and to follow us. So keep the mute button on, if you would, please. Secondly, we have a facility called chat. So if you have any questions as we go along that you can't understand, or you can't understand what we're saying, or there's a burning question that you want clarification on, the chat facility is available to you. So we ask that you just type your question, keep it simple as possible. That will enable us to respond more quickly and answer it more succinctly. So please be brief with that. Basically today we're going to talk a little bit about logos and why they're important and what to do and what not to do. And then Andrew is going to take us on a tour of the brand centre, and we're actually going to do some, he's going to demonstrate how to make some personalised logos that you can use in your club, your publicity material, and your bulletins and your websites and whatnot. So that's the basic format of it. And so, Andrew, if we start, I guess I'd like to start with saying that 2013, the Rotary International Board introduced a new logo, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it. The aim was purely and simply to enable people outside of Rotary to be able to identify easily the logo, and to begin to associate the great work that Rotarians do throughout the world with that symbol, and realise that how much great work and how much action we're taking to make the world a better place. So that's our official logo. The official signature logo consists of the Rotary, word Rotary, alongside the Rotary wheel. This is called the master brand signature. The Rotary wheel on its own, without the word Rotary, is our mark of excellence. It is still possible to use the mark of excellence, the wheel by itself, but it should be done in combination with the master brand signature. And in most instances, we do ask that you make well, in all instances, we make the mark of excellence much larger than the smaller signature logo. And on the screen you have a view of what's there. Okay. It is really common for organisations to evolve, as they evolve to change their logos, to develop their logo. And a great example of that is McDonald's. And on the screen you can see there are a number of evolutions that McDonald's have gone through since their since the organisation started back in the 1940s. That's just the sequence that have occurred with the logos. Rotary also has evolved its with its logo, and you can see on the screen there the different formats that it's gone through, right to the current one, which is the master brand signature. Rotary International has also recently updated the logos for Rotaract and Interact, and as you can see, these are on the screen, and they are now clearly identified as part of the same family as Rotary. And Rotary Foundation also has a new logo as well, again clearly aligning it with Rotary in the same family. You could create personalised logos for Rotaract and Interact using the brand centre and the templates that will be the tools, the template tools in the brand centre that Andrew will be demonstrating shortly. It's a very, very important guideline facility on the brand centre for you. And if you're not familiar with the voice and visual identity guidelines, I really do encourage you to download them and to study them, because it gives you a lot of information about what to do and what not to do, the colours and the voice, if you like, of how we present ourselves to the community. And this is a really, really important guideline. It's just been updated recently. The updated version was launched in about November or December last year, but it's a really, really good resource for all Rotarians. And if you're not familiar with it, I do recommend that you have a look at it. We will be, when we send information about how to access the recording of this webinar, we'll be including a link to the voice and visual identity guideline for you as well.
The question that's just come in, Gina, is in regards to Early Act.
Okay.
And Early Act is obviously a wonderful program and an evolution of Rotary for a younger generation of maybe focusing on primary school students. Yep. But the question is there a logo for Early Act?
I don't believe there is. It's not recognised as an official program of Rotary International. My understanding, I know I was in Cairns last weekend for their training, and this was raised because they have an Early Act program up there, and why can't we have a logo? But the template for creating their logos, and that was the answer that I gave them then. So okay. One of the things that's included in the visual identity guideline is Rotary International's recommendations about how the logo should look. And there's on your screen you can see some versions of it. They do prefer you to have the word club. So Rotary Club of whatever. Again, Andrew will be demonstrating how we do this a bit later, but can be above or below the word Rotary. I guess the idea of the logo is that it's flexible, but it's consistent. All looks the same. It's easily identifiable for people outside of Rotary. We quite often have people say, well, you know, why did we change the logo? Everyone recognised it. Well, it wasn't all that obvious to people, even within Rotary, but certainly people outside of Rotary that will the old blue and gold wheel was actually Rotary's logo, and so this new version is it's contemporary, it's clear, and it's a great, I believe, great representation of what we're trying to project to the community. And I think it's, as I said, it's consistent, but it's flexible.
Yeah.
Allows you to do different versions of it. But that's one of the pages in the guideline, as I said, will spell out to you the layout of and also the type fonts that you should use and the colours that should be used in it. These up on the screen now are just some of the logos that we've located recently.
Sorry if this is one of your clubs. We didn't pick on you deliberately, but these are some of my favourites.
So just going through a couple of them to say why they're are not suitable or don't comply with Rotary International's requirements. The one at the top, the Rotary Club of Mount Warning, is not aligned properly, and it's in capitals. It's not the type font of the recommended logo is in upper and lowercase, so that's not really. Although you will notice that it's what we call a simplified version of the wheel. There's no Rotary International within the wheel. That is allowable, and more and more clubs are now using that, particularly for digital things. And also if the image is very small, you can't read the words Rotary International anyway, so Rotary International have decided that a simplified version of it is acceptable, and particularly for embroidery, if you're doing on your t-shirts and polo shirts and whatnot. So that version is quite good. The one underneath, of course, is the old logo, the blue and yellow. Although a lot of people still like the blue and yellow, it's not our recommended, or it's not our official logo any longer. And having the words underneath are very, very small. It's not obvious to people outside of Rotary that that's the club. The one on the right, although it's got Rotary Club of Ipswich, the word Rotary should be on the left, and also again it's the wrong wheel, so that's not a acceptable version of it. The one at the top, the Burleigh Heads Rotary Club, although the actual logo is okay, that's fine, that's acceptable by Rotary International. Having something so close, like the Christmas hat, so close to the logo is not really acceptable. So please be aware that you've got to keep the logo in its entirety distinctly. Go on. Okay. This slide now shows more wrong logos, but this is how the mark of excellence is being used incorrectly. So Rotary is very protective of the mark of excellence, and to use it in a format such as shown on this is not acceptable. So just be aware of that as well. Okay. Finally, some good news. These are some excellent clubs that have done excellent job in producing logos that are good values. So, and as we said earlier, it's a lot of flexibility in how you name the club. Andrew, do you want to explain why it's important that each logo is personalised, and in what instances is it okay for the master brand signature to be used without being personalised by a club?
Yeah, look, it's something that we need to be, and one of the questions here is about the registered trademark and using it properly. I guess from a legal standpoint, and we don't want to get into legalities too much tonight, but if we are just using the master brand, which is, if we're looking at the Brisbane City, if it was just the word Rotary in the wheel here, without any club name identifier, that actually identifies the whole organisation, all 1.2 million Rotarians of us, all 36,000 clubs around the world. And that our brand, our logo of that nature can only be used in occurrences where Rotary International as an entity is being represented. And I promise you, Rotary International is not running the local markets on a Sunday morning. That would be the local markets of the Rotary Club of Brisbane Mid-City, or the Gold Coast Rotary Club's fun run, or whatever it may be. Rotary International isn't doing that fun run. The Rotary Club of Gold Coast is. So
even if you as a member of Rotary International was participating in something, that's still not, so that's not good enough.
No,
it really has to be a Rotary International program as such.
Absolutely. And if we go one step further, that we need to remember that we as individuals are not members of Rotary International, but the clubs are the member of Rotary International, of which we are a member of the club. So to be a member of that club, we have the right to use the logo as representative of our club, not that of the whole organisation. So
Okay.
Try and strengthen your own success stories by using your club logo, not that of just Rotary International.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Andrew, I think it might be time to go online now and do some demonstrate how clubs people can actually to create their own personalised logo that they can use for their publicity.
Sounds good. Let's do it. So I'm going to share another screen with you here now. Hopefully you're all comfortable and aware of the existence of My Rotary and the abilities of where to find it. Obviously, myrotary.org is the URL. If we're signing into My Rotary, maybe if it's remembering who you are, you won't have to remember your password. If not, good luck. I hope you can remember that. If you can't remember your password, then at least this video has been recorded and you can remember everything else that we're talking about tonight. But once you've got your login, it will take you through to your normal My Rotary login page, where it can show here that what your membership is, what member club you are with. But tonight we're going to be going straight into the Manage tab in the middle and then straight to the Brand Centre. So if we click on the Brand Centre, that will take us to everything and anything that we can think of when it comes to promoting who we are in our clubs and in our districts for that matter. So the Brand Centre is that, I guess, that epicentre of all the resources that Rotary have spent a lot of time, energy and money to help clubs build and shape their public image, their brand and their identity within their club and obviously within their community to show and highlight the success stories that each club is enjoying. So as Gina's already mentioned, the guidelines is, I guess, your Bible in regards to the do's and don'ts of how we could be using our brand incorrectly. There was a question in the chat that also came up about PMS and Pantones and what colour codes and all those sorts of things. Whilst I can cite most of them off for you now in regards to that, you can certainly find, yeah, it's my life. You can certainly find the PMS code. So I know quite a few clubs have actually downloaded the guidelines and have just sent them straight with their design request to their graphic designer to say, hey, this is what we're wanting. And by the way, this is how we must comply in regards to the colours and those sorts of things. So all the information in the language of graphic designers is there for clubs as well. So the last thing on the guidelines is we will also attach a copy of that with the link of the recording of this video tomorrow. So you can download that either in My Rotary yourself or know that we'll also download it. We'll upload it for a link for you tomorrow. It's quite a big file size, so it's a little bit difficult to share via email. But
I'll create a link.
We'll create a link and
we'll put it in a Dropbox.
We'll get that for you as well.
Yep.
So what we're going to really look at now is logos. So if we click on logos, the one we're really going to focus on here now is the Rotary Club logos. As Gina said earlier, there is also the ability for other program logos like Interact and Rotaract and the Rotary Foundation. But what we're going to look at now is how do we create a template for your club that is in high quality, that is consistent and can be used in any format that you feel necessary for your club's branding and logo. So we've just clicked on club logo. We then click create. And that takes us into a template form here. It's pretty basic in regards to its format and layout, which I think makes it easier to navigate. For those clubs, let's start at the top on the right-hand side here. For those clubs that maybe want to identify with a different language, you can certainly change your language. Let's keep it for English for now. My Chinese or Mandarin isn't the strongest. Again, the ability that we have to create templates and logos for Rotary, Rotaract, and Interact. And again, we come back to that consistency. The council legislation obviously elevated Rotaract with Rotary in regards to its operations, and we recognise them now in our constitution and bylaws, which is great. So Rotary obviously align their brands to be aligned with all of them. We've also quickly spoken about the difference between normal and simplified. Some people call it the digital logo, and you can see here where the words Rotary International are removed from the wheel. And as Gina said, depending on if you're embroidering something small on a club logo, on a polo shirt, or maybe it's a email footer, that ideally something that is removing the text might be easier on the eye and just look a little bit cleaner and sharper in this modern age of digital communications. But for now, we'll stick with normal because that's what we're going to focus on. The next one down is full colour. So again, clubs do have the ability to change the colour of their club logo if it's appropriate. So we're not saying that we want clubs to only use the black variation for all of their branding, but if you are having an image that is predominantly white or a very light colour, that maybe overlaying the club logo in a different colour would look more visually appealing. And you can actually also even go white. So there is a warning here saying, whilst you can't see it, trust us, it's there. You can also create and download your club logo in white, again, for a solid contrast against any background that you're putting it against. But traditionally, we have the Rotary blue and the gold as our main colours. You saw in the earlier slide, Gina spoke about a few different variations as to how your club's logo can look. Now, depending on your personal taste and what your club likes the look of better, but also depending on maybe the length of your club's name as to what might look better as well. So there are 5 different options here that clubs can use to identify who they are. So for instance, if we wanted to go with the Rotary Club and then we just enter our text, Rotary Club of Woy Woy. That will then give us a format layout that we may like or we may not like. And again, this might be something that as a public image chair or at your club assembly that may be coming up, this might be a good opportunity to get the buy-in of your club members as to how do we want to brand ourselves? What is our brand identity when we are looking at updating our visual brand? So this is where maybe that buy-in from clubs will allow them to feel more engaged and understand the value and the reasons why your club is updating its logo, but give them that sense of engagement as to how which design that your club chooses to go with.
Andrew, there's been a lot of people who say we don't like the word club in
Sure.
our logo. What's the stance of Rotary International on that?
Yeah, good question. The official answer is, and because this has been recorded, I will give you the official answer, and that is that the word club must be used in your club's logo. Because Rotary International, we are clubs that are members of the international organisation, and all reference to who we are in our governing documents is obviously that of a club. In saying that, if this is shared elsewhere, we know who's watched this, so I can find out who it is. But our personal comment would be, Gina and I agree that in some instances, the look and feel of using the word club may not be the best option. or I was in New Zealand last weekend, and there was a lot of conversations around modern clubs not liking the word club at all.
Yep.
That I don't identify as a club. That's something you do for golf, or a poker club, or whatever it may be. But so there are a few conversations around identifying as a club. Now, technically, you will always be a club. Your constitution says you are, but we're talking about branding.
Yep.
So I think the middle ground, Gina, is if a club feels the need to not have the word club, we're not going to come after them.
And if they feel that they're branded enough without the word club, and people recognise their club as a Rotary club without the word actually spelled out, basically we don't have a huge problem with it.
I agree.
Okay.
So for clubs like Woy Woy, if they just wanted to be identified as Woy Woy Rotary, which is a bit of a tongue twister anyway, they can certainly do that. If you wanted to have club in there, that's an option as well.
Yep.
I know that my club, I will claim that Rotary Club of Turramurra quite often just identify as Turramurra Rotary.
Yep.
And again, I would much happier see this brand here of Woy Woy Rotary than the club using an incorrect brand in logo.
Yep.
So that's a nice short club. If we were to throw in a bigger, it's the wrong cut and paste. If we're throwing in a bigger club name, Turramurra, I'm making up clubs now. Your club was Turramurra Daybreak. Now, I'm certainly not a graphic designer, but I don't think that looks very good. So we now have the ability to look at different variations of the layout. So you could do above and below. I don't think that's going to look too good. So maybe we do right of logo, where we put in something like this. Rotary Turramurra Daybreak. Again, the word club is not there. We're not going
Does it always have to have a vertical line, the lockup?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so this is called the lockup.
Yep.
It was originally designed to be used not in this format in regards to club branding, but for official Rotary partners. So a great example for our region would be ARH or Rorks. They'd have Rotary Districts of Australia over here, yep. And then the lockup, and then they'll have the Rorks or ARH logos there.
Yep.
We're getting a little bit more flexible and forgiving, I guess. That again, if this is more appealing for visual identity, then clubs could use this as well.
Yep.
And you also have the opportunity for this layout only to do things like bold and make it a little bit bigger. I don't know why the other templates don't allow for the opportunities for inserting boldness,
yep.
But for the one with a lockup, you certainly can. So again, it could be Turramurra Daybreak looking like that. So, and then if we're happy with our design, maybe you want it a bit bolder, stronger. All we need to do is then click Save. And then we're just going to call this version 1, call it whatever you like. Click OK. That's going to download or take this to a download page where you now have the opportunity to download it in PDF, JPEG, or PNG. You can see that these buttons are grayed out. It's a glitch in the system that's been there for forever and a day. I think Paul Harris is still haunting us. But if you just go up to the top of your browser, whatever browser you're using, and click the refresh button.
Well, it does say refresh your page.
Yeah. It then brings these to bright colours.
Sometimes I find that when I'm using the PNG one, it doesn't light up even though you've refreshed it once.
Yes.
So you might need to refresh your screen twice or 3 times to get that version up so that you can download it as a transparent one. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
So you have a few options here. Obviously PDF, we're all familiar with. JPEG, again, for Word documents, and you can use that for your Facebook pages and websites and those sorts of things. One that gets misused quite a lot, or doesn't get used, I should say, is a PNG file. So if we were to download this PNG file, let's see how quickly I can download and share this page. So if we download that and open this up, this now shows you that the screen is black. And that is because it's just an outline of every single letter and every single bit of the word, the line, everything is an individual image that can be overlaid on top of another image rather than having a big white box stuck on the top of a photo. So again, Rotary give you a lot of options as to what using the best means of creating your club logo. And then you do have the ability to go, once you've created those, you can download them and save them in your local computer. For the next 30 days, you also have the ability, if you click back to results, it will then show you all of the images and branding that you have downloaded in the last 30 days. So you can see here I've done one for Lower Mid Coast, Brisbane Waters, I've done some district ones here. So it also gives you a little bit of a stored folder of your club's logos that you have created previously if you lost where they were downloaded. We have a few questions coming through, so let's maybe jump to some of those. I'll scroll back up. So let's see where we've got some questions. In regards to what would you use for the optional text? That could be for something like, a great example would be, again, if I use my club, Turramurra, we would use a traditional logo, but with that design that we just went through, you may then have a markets that you actually might brand the markets, and you could call that Sunday markets or something like that, or my favourite one, I think it's Tasmania, Gina, the Soggy Bottom Boat Race.
Okay.
It's a cardboard, you make your own cardboard boat, and whoever's doesn't sink last wins. So you may want to brand the Soggy Bottom Boat Race with that optional text on the right-hand side with that lockup. So you can get a little bit creative. The Rotary Club of Canberra, Western Creek, yeah, that's not a bad one. My favourite length of club would be the Rotary Satellite E-Club of Francophone Shanghai Alessi. So it's a French-speaking e-club in New Zealand who started a satellite club, Gina, in Shanghai, China.
So how do they do their logo?
It looks very busy. Thankfully, it's not something I see regularly. But again, we get that the length of name is a bit of a challenge.
So what happens when you have 2 or 3 clubs doing a joint project? Can you put the Rotary Club of Terrigal, Erina and Kincumber together, or what can you do there?
Good question, Gina. What I again am a member of the Rotary Club of Turramurra, and when I joined, I saw some of the good and bad things that my club was doing in regards to logos, and where this gets difficult, and we agree, is when there's more than one club doing a project, a joint project together. So this is a bike event that's coming up in a few weeks. Those of you that want to come and ride with me, it's only 110 kilometres or so. 29th of March, North Shore of Sydney. And this project has been going for quite a few years now. And I brought you here for that exact example. So previously, it was just identifying Rotary International as the entity that was running the project, which obviously isn't the case. Mark Maloney won't be bike riding, and the General Secretary won't be there either. But this is where we, again, have compromised that we have the Rotary Clubs of Ku-ring-gai, St Ives, Turramurra and Wahroonga clearly identified as the participants running this program.
So if there are only 2 clubs, is it okay to have Rotary Club of Terrigal and Erina on the left, under the word Rotary, or is that not an option?
Ideally, at the end of the day, you want to be strengthening your club's brand. So the more times you have to get your club logo out into the community's eyes, the better. So if that means that you could have your club logo and your partner club's logo as both clearly identified, I think that's better. I would like to see all 4 clubs here having their own club logo, but I also understand that this looks neater, tidier for what they're trying to achieve. So there really isn't going to be a one-size-fits-all answer for these sorts of things. But again, we're more than happy to sit down with you guys, and you can contact Gina or myself, and we can certainly go through options and find a option that is best for everyone.
All right. Okay.
So what I would like to do now is just jump back into here and see whether we have any more questions. Gina, should we be including the word incorporated or Inc. in our club logo?
My understanding is that if it's an official document like your website, your letterhead or your annual report or something that's official, you should have the word Inc. In it. But for general publicity material, that's not necessary to do that.
Yep, I think that's spot on. So my example would be, we all know the word Coke and the brand Coke and what that looks like in that font. But we also know that that's not the actual company's actual name. It would be Coca-Cola, Amatil, Pty Ltd or whatever it is. Yep. But their brand, their image, their logo is just Coke. So Inc. definitely on official documentation, which would include your club's logo.
Yep.
We use the optional text to include our short, informal name. The official club name is the Rotary Club of Western Australia. Absolutely.
Yep.
So how you identify and your official club name is also very, very interchangeable. EPS format. Yeah, good question. Unfortunately, and I think this is coming shortly, EPS is not available in the club logos. If you give your graphic designer a JPEG or PNG, some have the ability to transfer that from a JPEG to an EPS file. Some people can do that themselves, but at this point in time, EPS is not a file version that is available, but I promise you we are working on that one.
Okay.
In regards to fonts, do you know exactly the fonts? Do you know the font name? Putting Gina on the spot here.
No, I don't know the one. No, I don't know the logo one. I know the People of Action one.
Yep,
but,
sure.
No, I don't.
Sure.
To be honest.
So the official font that Rotary use is Frutiger. It's a paid font that you can access, or graphic designers certainly can access. There are other free fonts that you can use, and
I'm sure this page tells you.
It's I think it's on a page about 18 or 16 of the Voice and Visual Identity Guidelines. Again,
16, yeah.
You have the ability to we'll give you the copy of that guideline, and you can look at all the different fonts and again all the EPS colors and those sorts of things. So that's about it. That's been about 40 minutes of Gina and I chatting on here. Okay. If you've got any other questions, jump in and we can certainly get to them quickly now. Gina?
Yeah, sure. No, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for attending, and I will be sending out an email to clubs in the next couple of days with the recording of the webinar and also the visual identity guideline that we talked about. So and hopefully
how do they contact you?
How do they contact me? My details are on the screen, so give me a call or send me an email. It's probably the easiest.
Yep.
And that's your contacts, Andrew. And hopefully we will talk about developing some other webinars later on, perhaps in the series. We'll you and I
give us some ideas, guys. If there's something that you think that you want us to hear from us in regards to branding, whether it's more in regards to the People of Action campaign, whether you want some ideas on social media use, maybe we can bring in a social media expert, web presence and online pages, we can talk about all those sorts of things. So shoot Gina an email. We're more than happy to support you guys in strengthening your brand, because I guess at the end of the day, we can all leverage off the success of each other's success if we're aligning our brands accurately. And the big one for me would be when we eradicate polio, and Bill Gates and Belinda Gates and the world president, whoever that is in a few years' time, are all standing up and declaring polio free, that logo behind their head of the master brand looks exactly the same, plus your club identifier, as what is seen when you're hosting your club markets. Yep. So strengthen your brand and leverage the hard work of other good clubs that are also using the brand accurately to come out on top.
I guess my final word is that, you know, we are here to help. We're here to make your life a lot easier. So any issues that you might have, or any questions or clarification needed in any areas, that's what we're here for. So please make the most of it and call us. So thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope that was helpful for you. And we look forward to doing some more webinars in the future.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.